Today, we're talking about Gemini. And no, I don't mean the zodiac sign. I'm talking about Gemini AI, Google's version of ChatGPT. Wait, scratch that. Gemini is so much more than a ChatGPT wannabe. It also powers two AI features you've likely seen creeping into the SERPs, AI overviews and AI mode. If you work in SEO right now, those are major stressors. If you're an SEO agency, you're likely getting questions like, what happens to the 10 blue links and keyword rankings now that AI is all over the SERPs? And maybe you're spending too much time monitoring traffic in Search Console. Yeah, that was a self-sub. I'm starting a trauma dump. Look, I'm not going to pretend this stuff isn't scary. Google basically changed the rules overnight and the ground is shifting fast under our feet. But the best way to deal with change is to first understand it. So for the next few minutes, I'll explain how Gemini actually works, what's it doing to search behavior, and most importantly, 3 things you can do to save your organic visibility. Before we dive in though, please let me know in the comments how you feel about Google's shift to AI. Has it helped your traffic and conversions, or has it tanked them? I know where I stand. Oh God. Okay, back to it. What is Gemini and how does it work? In Google's words, Gemini is an interface to a multimodal large language model handling text, audio, images, and more. In English, this means it can process more than text. Gemini understands images, audio, code, you name it. And you interact with it through a chat interface similarly to how you'd hit up a friend on WhatsApp. Under the hood, Gemini's tech is quite similar to ChatGPT's. It transforms your input into something it can understand and predicts the most logical next pieces of information. When you ask Gemini a question, it breaks down your input into tiny pieces called tokens or embeddings. These are the model's way of hearing and seeing the information. Next, using a clever technique called self-attention, Gemini figures out which words matter the most and how they relate to each other. Kind of how you'd scan a paragraph and figure out what are the main points. Based on its training on basically the entire internet, plus real-time data from Google's web index, Gemini predicts what to say next. And when it needs current information, it browses the web just like you would. Finally, it generates a response, converting those predicted tokens into a format you can understand. If you're staring at your screen thinking, wait, what are tokens and embeddings and how did we get here? Fair. I've got a video in the comments section that explains more about how LLMs like ChatGPT and Gemini work, just in case self-attention mechanism sounds like a fun way to spend your afternoon. Let's move on to how your audience uses Gemini. Many people already use Gemini without knowing they do. Like I mentioned earlier, Gemini isn't just an AI chatbot. It's also Google's AI assistant, and it shows up everywhere in the ecosystem. Docs, Gmail, Android, you name it. Basically, Google realized we're already glued to their tools and used that as a power move to wedge AI into every corner of our workflow. You don't have to go to Gemini, it just shows up. Autocomplete in Gmail, that's Gemini. Help me write in Docs, that's Gemini. But Gmail autocomplete isn't what's keeping you up at 3 a.m. checking your traffic stats. The real problem is how Gemini is quickly changing search and search behavior. I'll explain. The first thing to know is that your audience is searching in Gemini directly. Instead of going to Google, people are heading to Gemini's AI chatbot for fast and contextualized answers to their questions. And honestly, I don't blame them. Why scroll through 10 links and over-optimize blog posts when you can get a clean, curated answer in just seconds? Sure, it's a better user experience, but a terrible trend for SEO. If people are not searching on Google, they're not landing on your website unless your content is used as a source in Gemini's responses. But there are ways to increase the chances of that happening, so be sure to watch the video to the end. Second, onto the elephants in the room, AI overviews and AI mode. After introducing Gemini, Google looked at the SEO industry and said, not enough panic. Let me add fuel to the fire. So in 2023, it rolled out the Search Generative Experience, the testing ground that eventually gave us AI overviews. Now, before showing users a list of links, Google serves an AI-generated summary at the top of the page. Neat for getting answers quickly, not so great for your traffic charts. AI overviews reduces click-through rate by almost 35%. As if they aren't eating enough clicks, Google said, what if we just remove the whole idea of blue links and clicking altogether?
That's a great idea.
So now we've got AI mode, a chat-based search interface showing up right in the SERPs. Users can talk to Google like it's their smart friend that reads too much. They can ask follow-up questions, get personalized answers, and completely bypass your content. All to say, I'm low-key questioning my career choices. But before we all update our LinkedIns to former SEO, let me show you why I think this might be the biggest opportunity we've had in years. It all comes down to how you see it. Glass half full or glass half empty. On one hand, I miss the early days of SEO, when traffic mostly came down to creating one lengthy article and getting decent backlinks. Those days are long gone. But on the other hand, there's a lot of opportunity here. Gemini isn't just relying on SERP rankings, it's pulling information from multiple sources across the web. This means we are not all crammed in a top 10 cage match anymore. Yes, rankings still matter, but there are other ways to get cited in Gemini, whether in the chatbot, AI overviews, or now AI mode. Here are 3 ways to increase your brand mentions in Gemini AI. The third one is a game changer that most SEOs are completely missing. Number 1 is format your content for AI parsing. Goodbye Shakespeare, hello Hemingway. AI loves content that's ridiculously simple and straight to the point. And while the poet inside of us dies a little, we have to accept it. AI isn't built for nuance, it's built for clarity. Parsing, in this case, just means, can Gemini easily break this down, understand what's being said, and pull some useful information from it? If the answer is no, you're not getting cited. So keep your paragraphs short, 2 to 3 lines max. Use bullet points for lists or takeaways. Make the line that actually answers the question bold. Add a summary at the top or the bottom. A TLDR works. Gemini scans for clean, structured content it can pull from quickly. If your page buries the answer or rambles too long, it's getting skipped, no matter how good the content. Number 2 is build your content clusters around topics. Stop treating your content like it's a Netflix playlist. You should see mine. I've got 7 half-watched movies across different genres, and I'll probably start something completely new next time. That's fine for streaming, not so much for signaling authority to AI search engines. When someone asks a question, Gemini doesn't just answer it. It predicts related follow-ups and pulls in supporting context. So if your brand has answers that covers those angles, you're more likely to be part of the answer. It's basically topical authority in action. If you're familiar with the hub and spoke content creation model, this is fairly straightforward to pull off. Pick a core theme, for example, local SEO. Create a hub page or an ultimate guide. Build 5 to 10 supporting articles that go deeper into subtopics, tools, FAQs, and so on, and link everything together with clear, natural anchor text. When Gemini sees your brand show up across multiple angles on the same topic, it's more likely to treat you as an expert and cite you in related answers. Number 3 is to optimize for co-occurrence. At their core, LLMs like Gemini are playing a numbers game. They predict what words, phrases, and entities are most likely to appear together based on the patterns in their training data. So if you want Gemini to talk about your brand or product in a certain way, you need to make a dent in those patterns. Co-occurrence helps you do that. It's about showing up consistently alongside the right keywords, tools, topics, and competitors until your brand becomes part of the expected context. You can do this by syncing your brand and product descriptions across all of your channels, mentioning people, products, and yes, competitors to help AI establish context, and build internal links on your website to help AI connect the dots between topics. So how do you track your brand in Gemini AI? Right now, we're pretty much iterating in real time when it comes to AI visibility. So yes, do everything I mentioned earlier, but you also need a way to know if any of it is actually working. You might be wondering, surely Google wouldn't launch an AI-first search experience without giving us the data to track it, right? Right? Yeah, about that. There is no dedicated AI mode or Gemini filter in Google Search Console. You can hack together some workarounds in Google Analytics, custom segments, new channel groups, but you'll still be flying blind on things like what prompts your brand shows up for, how your competitors are performing in Gemini results, whether the mentions are actually positive. Wouldn't it be great if there was an AI rank tracker that showed you all of that? Well, there is. The best part is that it doesn't involve retrofitting your entire workflow like in Google Analytics. Let me show you how it works. So here I am in my keyword.com AI visibility account, and I'm tracking brooksrunning.com. And as you can see here, there's no data. That's because I haven't added any search terms or prompts to track. And so that's the first thing I'm going to do. To do that, I'm going to click on the search terms tab here, and I'm going to click on the add term button. Here, I'll be able to add a search term or a prompt to track. For example, what are the best running shoes for marathons in 2025? Then you have to choose which AI engine you want to be tracking. We offer a bunch of them, but the one we're interested in today is Gemini. You can choose between Gemini 2.0 or 2.5. 2.5 is the latest one, so I'm going to choose that one. You can choose the tracking interval. You can also add a description. You have access to some advanced options if you wish. And once you've figured that out, you're going to click on save here. So once keyword.com has finished working its magic, if you click on the prompt that you've just added, you will find your performance metrics for your brand for that specific prompt. Here we can see that the visibility score is 62.5% and the latest position was 7. The brand sentiment score is 70%. This refers to how positively or negatively your brand is being portrayed by AI, in this case Gemini. So this doesn't look too bad, although the position could be a bit better. However, if we click on view results here, we can see some additional metrics such as what competitors are we competing with over time. And if you go down here, you can actually find all of the citations that Gemini is using when coming up with its answer for that specific prompt. So that's really useful to have. And you can see in which citations Brooks is being mentioned and in which citations it is not being mentioned. And if you go all the way down here and you click on Spyglass, you can actually see the actual search result for that specific prompt. Pretty neat, right? And that's it from me. When a big player like Google goes all in on AI, you know it's not just a farce. We can't exactly just hide under our desks and hope it all goes away, tempting as that might be. But hey, you're watching this video, which means you're not trying to sit this one out. You want to win in an AI first world. And Google isn't the only AI sheriff in town. I've got videos on Perplexity and ChatGPT too, so check those out for answer engine optimization strategies to help you ride the wave, or at least not get wiped out by it. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.